Another thing about the psych ward in Fresno, the psychos that they sent. You see, you will understand something. Watch. The brother of the mother was the head of sciences. He's 96 years old in Warsaw University. He said, this is cheap shit. We'll let know it's cheap shit. This is old news. We'll let know mass media Brussels. But it's cancer Polish into. You come from Russian Mir, the advanced Mir. Not some Eastern Bloc sciences. Okay? Your science is from Russia, the new shit. Same with the cousin of the father, head of sciences in, he's head of science in Cairo University, the ministry. He says, Saudi Arabian Mir. What they mean by Mir is the black thing. So Julieta, basically, mostly cancer or biomed, some spin-off at Kango in Warsaw and Ursinov is empty with the radio, saying this is cheap shit. It's Moscow. In Cairo, cheap shit. Saudi. So they say La Sapienza. This is what you killed on the coastlines. There are children that we call space breakers. I was one of them. But you smashed my head in on the coastlines. Your psychos in Fresno that followed me to San Francisco at the homeless centers are federal prisoners in LA, born in Fresno. Because Fresno doesn't have federal prison, as Tom and Jerry Diretals claimed, obviously. The rape or whatever, the psych ward, they're all together, you see. Fresno, you see, that's why UCLA went against Fresno, the hospital. When I did the, I got a job in the UN in the year 2000. Retirements, I got there in 98. 98. Parents, and they're on retirements there. 97, 98. I came in 98, they in 97. And by end of 98, and I was still going back in 99 to London for the masters. And the education was free. Okay, high school was free with the president's kids in Rome or wherever even if they came for half a year to Rome to this was the private school. This wasn't St. George's with 10,000 students. This is St. Stephen's. This is the Ritz. Okay, St. George's is the St. Stephen's is the Ritz of St. George's. You know, and as I told Mitzvah would say, the young, so much the Spanish Dutch ambassadors. Sons. Anyway, so free high school, free college at 15 with Martin Snowden with the plum has. So what was lost on the coastlines? Costume. After smashing my head in on the coastlines, you didn't kill me here. You smashed my head. This is a replacement child. I'm sure you got that part. So you're the terrorists. So this is the sciences behind all this. Italians have La Sapienza. And Woolwichers have Martin Snowden. So when they saw the phenomenon, and you smashed her head and you denied it about Jamila. You denied me. And when I said that I was representing that dead girl, and that I was the stand-in with the social security number DELF, you sent the psychos. And the psych ward in Fresno has been sued. You've all been sued in Fresno, even for the Disney version. None of you hoes on the coastlines in Massachusetts, I'm going to have to say it out loud, or Princeton, or Harvard, or Yale, and East Coast are going to reopen my buildings. I'm going to keep that void because PhDs don't, education doesn't open space breaks. If space breaks are smashed in the head and you bring back a baby, and she's famous for that around the world, and you're famous for what you did to her on the coastlines, and that's why they call you cheap hoes, you're paying. So when I was in Rome, I went on a hunger strike. I got a million freaking jobs from the UN. Once again, parents are on retirement in Fresno. I'm on my cruiser. I'm not flyings and runnings. I'm on my literal crawlies. I'm not the same girl. Let them stay in row for retirements. They're born in Pioneer Camps beyond the capital cities. Norris, Piesha's Norris, Turk. Piesha's Russian. Give me an example. Pioneer champions at the age of 5. D1s, Osro, TCY, USA work. Now, there's also verbal vitriol coming out of Fresno. This is the additional. And they're wondering, you know, they're trying to kill the baby. So you have the triads who are Vietcong. They have no high school, so we're not buying that shit either. Because we're just not buying it. So The child is alive, probably because she is Disneyland, but you want to abuse her and play with her because she's dead, so you send in Hells Angels and stuff like that. Problem is, you're not the Germans, you're not German Aerospace, like Basler, like the newspaper in London at the age of 17, editorial. Is she going to marry the crazy American businessman and kill him, or is she going to kill the German mad scientist and kill him at the age of mistaken identity? And they're saying that's the old news on the news, ship to yacht. All right. So, you bring in this one, and she's had enough. Well, this girl has had enough. She's had the original girl's head in smashed in. She's a genetic variant of the other. McVariants, we know what they are. The bomb shared from Russia, London. It's not the boron element, which is not boron. And with 80 years, boron, the highest intelligence on the planet will not know what fucking boron is because it's just too dark and too advanced. Now, the McVariant that was assassinated on the coastlines was a bomb. Except Jamila didn't do bombs on July 20th, 2021. She broke space. Though, yes, they called it Shakespeare's bomb. Shared in 1998. And we know what McVariants are. Variants. After you smashed her head on the ghost lines. What we call the share gone to sheets. So when you started speaking about Jews and everything else, you are what you are. And you sent crazies that are Jewish or Israelis here against me, or whites, even the black band. It doesn't matter. It's not a question of criminal. It's a question of stupid, mentally retarded, not stupid many times. So this is what you're getting. You see, the men who want to have sex with me here are psychos. The men who are psychos in Fresno are here. And the homeless centers. And they were sent here by the guys in Fresno. And the psych wards are part of it. Jamila didn't have, in UCLA, in New York and in Italy, and in Britain, the main hospital said that I don't have psychosis. That I was used in college, yes, but it passed really quickly. It mimics psychosis, but she doesn't have psychosis. And she's not a psycho. She has other problems. She has psychos trying to kill her. I don't care for the trias protecting me with the shootouts. Daniela Benvenuti and Bruno Benvenuti from Radio Global. They don't even have a high school. Eh? These people, you see, I'll give you an example. They're saying that the girl that came back for a split second emptied buildings when she died because she was a phenomena. And America is still denying that. So you brought back Disneyland. You had vitriol for the parents because I am the trained poodle in the house. You called dad and mom names because you're America, right? And Minos Ame, Minos Rica on the ghost lines. You said it was unusual. Let me put it this way. When I went, you see, let's say, and this is a mentally retarded 5-year-old, okay? That's what you are. If I go to a mentally retarded 5-year-old and I say, look, that shit's empty because you're dead and you're just a genetic replacement, and they hated you, and there's a Scott Glenn film, and Americans lost a lot of intelligence when the Americans killed that girl on the coastline. A lot. Buildings from ship to yacht, and they could see it coming from China. And they call it the Holy Grail. No one's perfect. And that's not mentioning the parents, even, in Fresno retirements. For the high benches of Lark Winters and not direct. Defending them. You don't believe in anyone. Everyone's an asshole. And they're saying the truth to Disneyland. Connected those two whites to grow bats. And all the degrees couldn't reopen that shit. You reopened the banks, but you didn't open that shit. So I am basically representing that void. Why? Because I'm a baby. My mental capacity is that of a baby. I represent, and in your mind, they should be killed. Because Disney shouldn't live. If you already had that shit emptified on the ghost lines, the beautiful shit, then Disneyland, who came back, should be killed too. Because we are patriots. And that's not even mentioning the parents. And that's what Frisco Fresno is to the psychos and the psych wards. That's why the psych wards went against Fresno. Psych wards. I don't know about San Francisco. I know about UCLA and New York. The problem is they only keep me like 2-3 days and they won't give me medicine. The same in Italy. No. I give them anti-anxiety and even none of stuff. Because they see that this is past psychiatry. That's why Simon the order from the Phoenix, he had his hips broken. He's the head of psychiatry at the Phoenix in Rome. You know Simon the order, at the age of 5, one of the psychiatrists. Laura Quintus, Nally Direct, Benjamin Ofori, head of cancer, Vegas for Ghana, for Scotland and Canada, grey and black scientists, you know, others. I wouldn't even call them engineers, you know. Worse. Now, what have you? In other words, they would have brought back the girl genetically after she was smashed on the ghost lines because that shit literally was hers. So when I said to you, bye bye American bye in Ambrit, that's old news on the news, when I told you every half penny, when I told you there was a ship to yacht, when I told you that's already dead, when I told you it's getting emptier, it's because you killed it. And because other intel was with her. Big ship to yacht, literally, and you could see it coming from China, which means what you lost by killing me, the leader, simply was our building shut down. Not cancer, because that was pink, but grey and black, which was Russia and Saudi Arabia and Italy and England. That's why Martin Snowden has the plan head with me, and not with your cheap ass. That's why I'm in the basements with him, and not you cheap whore with him. Except I already had my head smashed in on the coastlines, and I'm a replacement job. You get what 221 is? Feeling good about yourself? America, America, Princeton, Harvard, and Yale are empty with SpaceX sciences. July 2021 is on news, and the buildings and the math. You can't even look at the replacement child after you smash your head in on the bus line. You already sent cycles. We already have security around me. So you can feel good about your cheap assholes. You're not a country. That's why Dirk-Jan van Daan was speaking about the Hague and the Bureau de Veritas and the Roman Tribunal, Italian Bundestag was speaking about your cycles. For your extra. This is who you are. Now that's only connects the dots worldwide to globals. That's not mentioning the father and the mother on retirements at Fresno. So, when you get to the stage, like mine, where you have had your head smashed in on the ghost lines and you come back as a genetic replacement child, and you know there must be blues because, fuck's sake, that shit can't be all empty. And if she was killed, there must be some. There must be some. That thing is the blues and the pink. Except Pink lives in the house. The blues long ago were taken by other agencies because she was a phenomenon. So that's why the Germans will not side with Hells Angels. That's why the Brits will not side with Hells Angels. That's why the Italians will not side with it, or the Russians or the Saudis or the UN. Just because I'm white. Just because I'm white. Just because I'm white or Jewish. I'm Jewish, half Jewish, and the Hells Angels. You are retards. So what you did in Fresno, in the psych ward, was being monitored. That's why they only kept me a week, and that's why the FBI barges in, takes me out every single time. Same with the jail in Fresno. That's not federal in LA. It's the local one in Fresno with Tom and Jerry Diretals, his buddies, his friends, his girlfriends, the nurses, the wives, the wingmen, and all the rest, and his ex-wives. It's because when you tried to put me to prison in Fresno, when I went back after 4 years of trackings, you tried to put me in jail. I went to Sonia Rocha and Jennifer Segura, who were the guardians of the mom. She didn't have dementia. And that's from there. These are the wingmen. Went from Fresno to Poland to Russia with a fake obituary. This is who you are. My father had an injection at the age of almost 76 in the lower part of his tummy. And as for your puppy dicks, Lester Wolf et al., Virginia Woolf, who was his grandmother, didn't even want him at her own funeral. She called them careerists because they literally are puppy dicks. But we don't trust you with sending everything. You're just animals in Fresno. The intelligence of Fresno doesn't represent the hanging benches, and they're hanging. It doesn't represent the intel, because Fresno is not intel. It has its own intel. It has its own agents, you can say. But an agent is not going to reopen Nashe on the coastlines. And an agent is not going to be the parents. So stop comparing yourselves with apples and oranges, and stop comparing yourselves with a dead baby replacement Disneyland 221 asswipe and sending psychos, because it makes you look retarded to the rest of the world's intelligence. 221. So that's what you're doing. After the kill, you're just trying to have fun with the baby and torture her. And torture her, yeah, psychologically or physically, whatever. That's what's the Roman tribunal in pink, because the Hague already happened with Dirk-Jan Van Dam and the Bureau de Veritas. So this is who you are. If they bring back a baby that is not even herself, and try to explain to you that after you smashed her head on the ghost lines, there's blues somewhere else, and they are called Ubermensch, it means that that girl was a phenomena. Because there's no way on earth that you smash somebody's head and on the ghost lines bring back pink or blues. But she was trying to tell you there was something behind her. You didn't listen to her. So when the Italians, when I was in Rome, after this Ukrainian guy, the German police beat him up, the Brits run him over by a car, basically almost killed him. He had attempted suicide 25 times, the Ukrainian guy, and they connected him to the Ukrainians of Fresno in the Roman tribunal. 250 pages worth of paperwork, which means the psych ward is in fucking trouble in Fresno. And that's just the extras. That's not the Hague. That's not the Bureau de Veritas. This is the Roman tribunal. All of this for one ass wipe. And that's not even mentioning the father and the mother in Fresno. On the flyings, beyonds, the library, above, behinds, on the hills of runnings that many motherfucking times. And then, of course, my crawlies, little crawlies, out of the coastlines. This is what they sent from all those countries, with the hanging benches of Laura Quintus and Nadia Erect, Supreme Court defending both parents, against your fucking shit in Fresno, on retirements of the barons. This is what's famous about your assholes. And your verbal vitriol, as an addition. Shut up, you retard! That's why there's the Scotland film. So, when the shit in Princeton, Harvard, and Yale, and in California, and cheap-ass New York with the cancer got empty, they said, why is it empty, those beautiful buildings? And they realized July 2021 that was empty because that girl, who was the leader, had died. I didn't do cancer. I did the tech and the space of the 21st. That's what's empty. For you, everything's easy. It's just nothing. It's just a little microchip up my ass. It was a ship to yacht. It has been... This is old news on the news, the nails, around the capital cities in 80 countries. Unless you want to add cheap-ass US, 81 countries. On your coastlines. Coastlands. That's why the triads and the Viet Cong defended me. Because they didn't want the meaning of Disneyland, which was already lost the leader, as this paperwork 221 asswipe, to be assassinated again for fun. Because she's Disney. And you already attempted to kill me in Fresno, Frisco. You even sent psychos. And if you couldn't do it here, you tried it abroad. But you failed there too, with that Ukrainian paid psycho. He's not Polish. He lives on the border. All his governments are Ukraine. Like in London. The refugees. So when he attempted suicide 25 times in 2 years in front of Greenwich Mean Time Stupid Times University, and then he suicided in front of me, I broke down. This is Jografsky. So when Heine went to Europe, he didn't realize that he was not going to good territory, especially if it's Hell's Angels is a joke. So when you butted in Fresno to help, which you call help, it wasn't help, was it? Because the psychos are not help. A rebel, you are not. And you are the ones who took the baby, played with her, tried to stick her in psych ward, and even the psych wards didn't work. You will not work. Your history, you see, this is what intelligence is showing to you, to each his own. You are famous for something. And if that something is killed, and it's getting worse, that doesn't mean that you hear something, you don't like it, that makes you mentally retarded 5-year-olds. You don't like what you hear, then why didn't you prevent it? You don't care. That's not mentioning the father and the mother in Fresno. They are D1s, all Shrotishuwa USA, pioneer camps beyond the capital cities. The child is a dead baby. If they made blues somewhere else, I wouldn't be surprised if that guy really did those things, as the whole fucking world claims. 221, Delft, and people and masses and beggars and everything else in those capital cities, and that's all news on the news with the nails, and I am the relic. That's it. That's how stupid you are in the US. That's not only how stupid you are, that's how bad you are. So when they say to each his own, they were not kidding. And for the parents of Fresno, they're pissed, because you could have easily bombed Fresno in the middle of the desert and shut them up. Easily. If not bombed, Space Bomb, Havana, 6969, it doesn't matter. The t-shirts have been around the capital. So even my enemies are showing you this shit. You're pathetic. You're pathetic on the Ghost Lines. You're pathetic in Fresno. Everything. People have been using swear words in the East Coast and London and Rome, in the center, in the UN, and Warsaw Internationals, in Russia, and Arabias, even in Germany. On my crawlies and literal crawlies out of Fresno. Whatever happened on the coastlines was a wherever smashed head replacement child. On their retirements. There's a Scotland film to stay out. My kind. It wasn't a kind before that became a type. They want us out of this country. You can keep your PhDs up your ass. That shit stays empty. And they're not banks. And this is the old news on the news. So if you don't like what you hear, and you know the storyline of the Indios, and you know about the parrots, then what's your fucking problem? Why are you sending psychos to this one? Why are you trying to break her even more? She only has 4-7 to 2-1 left. She's a timed baby. That's all she has to live anyway. You kill her in that span of time, you pay even more as Disneyland. And you've already attempted many times Fresno Frisco. So, animals. Zoo. Zoo, 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 zoo. You're the zoo. Even the colleges are the fucking zoos. You think the colleges are going to reopen that shit? Listen, I'll tell you about industry. I've seen the industry of space science in Russia. I've seen the industry of space science in Germany with Basler. I've seen the industry of space sciences in the CIA, in the US. I've seen it in Woolwich within the circles, Martin Snowden Sciences. I've seen it in Italy in the UN at La Sapienza, which is empty. Because I'm dead. I've seen all that shit. And I'm the replacement child of the girl who you smashed her head in on the Ghost Lines, connected those with white bats. And you're still fucking hounding me. You're crazy. To each his own. To each his fucking own. To each his fucking own fame. That's what you're famous for. You don't take Disneyland and try to abuse her even more. Near the end. And that's not even meant with psychos. Check the Italian tribunal had a field day just for the baby. Well, did Ken Van Damme for the Hague. The Bureau de Veritas and that. I'm just waiting for a second Hague. For the fun kill. Already attempted. US. That's not the parents of Fresno either. And their retirements of Fresno. The hanging benches of Laura Quintas and Nally Direct. That many flyings, many runnings, and that many crawlies and little crawlies for me. This is who you are, US. We are asking for the Scotland film. And we're asking you polite. In fact, we're not asking. We're stating it. And if you put in Disneyland to tell you this politely, it ain't gonna work because you don't give a shit about anything. Literally. Except your own assholes that are worthless, quite frankly. I'm sorry to say that to you. On the Ghost Lines, that shit's empty because I'm dead. And they're not bringing it back to you. None of the beautiful shit is coming back to your assholes. PhDs and alls. Microchips don't reopen that shit. In Massachusetts, in Princeton, Harvard, Yale, all that shit's empty. That's space tech. That's new shit. I told you there was a ship to yacht. I told you that girl was the leader of the ship. I told you that shit fell with her. I told you that shit had blood hairs. Connected us worldwide to globals. I told you that's old news on the news with Elon Musk. The kids of Elon Musk. The genetic freaks in the UN schools. I told you that shit had his head smashed in on the Ghost Lines. Do you even listen to a word of 221 Delve Holland? Or are you just going to be sending psychos and be happy about it? Back to the hospital in Rome. After I went to Rome, in St. Peter's, there was, as it says, a mausoleum of a female. And there's a psych wards. I'm like, this is fucking nuts. Across, there's a regular hospital with two humongous, beyond humongous, they're beyond humongous, palms. And they're so large that they get above, I would say beyond it, the green of the palms above the roof. Okay, and on the ground, on the sides, there's cacti. And anyway, so that's that. And I'm looking at this stuff, and then I look there, and I'm like, and I look behind me, and there is London, some double decker, and I don't remember the name and the number 130, the red bus. On the right, there's the. I have so little time left to say this. There's Rome and the Vatican, a lot of people, beautiful, like big, you know. On the left, the same, except Iran. So much for the Iranian hostage library in DC. You know, Iran, you're the US. So, with the Jews, the whites, the chulas, the whole shit. Quit it. So, okay. And I'm there. This was after 4 years out of Fresno. 5. This was 5 years out of Fresno. And then I stayed for 9 years in Western Europe and around the world, and then I came back. So now it's 10 years out of Fresno. Almost more than 10 years out of Fresno on the literal crawlies. Okay. And I only have 47221 left of the number. And this guy sits down and says, you know about the China, you know about the international, you know there's something historic. Do I have to tell you this shit? And I'm looking at him as like, I don't believe this shit. I'm not that girl. I'm a replacement girl. And he said, exactly. They can't even look at you. They don't even know what you did. Or if you told them about the space breaks and the tech breaks and the science breaks, they're just whores, the Americans. Wasteful whores. And this is in the Vatican. These are Vatican priests. And the nurses who are not Vatican priests. These are people telling me this. And then looking at me and they're saying that Ukrainian whore in Fresno, who's here, the Dolores Shelton, the Ukrainian guy there, they're connected. And I'm looking at them and I'm looking at the Roman tribunal and I'm looking at this shit like, what? And they're saying to me, they're abusers. I said, that's not abuse. Man, I had my head smashed in on the ghost lines. There's no abuse. I mean, they raped me or they beat me up. I was like, that's not abuse. You should see Fresno for the parents. The parents report. I'm dead. If they kill me, who cares? I'm just Disneyland. They're looking at me like this. It's like, why do you even exist? And I'm looking at them. It's like, I don't know. What's that number to the one Delph? And I'm looking at them like, I don't know. Jehovah Witness of the original girl who had her head smashed in on the ghost lines and that shit's void. And there's blues out there. Ubermensch. How's he smash my head in on the ghost line? And I'm looking at them like, I'm the stand-in. I'm the Miss Innocent in this land. Who's not even herself. The only thing I have in common with my original is the eyebrows. Yeah, okay. That's all news on the news and else. As I'm looking at them, it's okay. What about the parents of prison? Oh, Madonna! You see, if I give you China, Russia, Germany, space, Wallachia, Minnesota, Italians, Saudis, no one gives a shit. Minute I bring in the Vatican St. Peter's Hospital, the Vatican help us there, the guys are throwing water at me like this. Exorcism or something. Everybody believe them. You know where you are, people, after you smash my head in on the ghost lines in the US? Hear my shit! And you know what? Disneyland will tell you that. But scare me? I don't give a shit. Shoot me here, right? And let's stay and roll for it down. I really did shit, man. Oh, they messed. So, do me a favor and try and understand what this is. And not that you fucking bitches are going to be sitting there and speaking to me about what great sciences you have up your ass in the US. Because I know what that girl was. And everyone else does. So if you smashed her head in on the ghost lines, of course they'll bring back Disneyland. And don't give me a verbal vitriol for the violent mother. And for me, after that, on their retirements in Fresno. That's extras. They want to bomb you in Fresno. They literally want to bomb you. I don't know if it's only La Sapienza in Italy or England or Germany, Russia, Arabia. So for me, multitasking, because even if the work was on the ghost lines, I was multitasking and the parents are there. Or they want to bomb you for the parents. There's, pioneer camps beyond the capital cities. D1s, also TCY, USA jobs, Norris Pierce, something like that, pioneer champions at the age of 5, and so forth. They don't, the hanging benches of Laura Quintus and Laundry Direct, defending both of them, they don't. It's unusual what happened, okay? It's unusual that you lost that intel on the ghost lines. And it's unusual that you sent psychos after that girl. And it's unusual that Fresno, where the parents are on retirements, is what it is, and you didn't get it. So this is what's famous, beyond famous. And I can't change it in those capital cities. Not in Italy, not in Germany, not in London, not in Warsaw Internationals, not in Russia, and not in Saudi Arabia on my crawlies and little crawlies. And you can deny my existence, you can deny everything. You're just fucking shit, US. When are you going to see why you lost that intel and why those people were shipped to yacht, you can see it from China, left ages ago and won't give you an iota after smashing the head of the leader on the coastlines of sciences? They're not going to give you shit. That was July 2021, and you're just belittling me. I understand I'm not the same girl. I don't have pretenses, but you need to send psychos if that girl was famous for that shit. In other words, stupid times, not mentally retarded times. I don't know shit. That's why. And so that's why they call you Mentally retarded 5-year-olds. I don't like what I hear. I'm a patriot. If you're a patriot, first of all, you would have done that shit yourself. Wormhole to worm, and you would have emptied La Sapienza and Space Sciences and Woolwich and Russian and the rest of the world, and you went in your own country, in Harvard, in Princeton, and yeah, yourself. I mean, after all, you have a PhD, right? You can. This was my fucking strawberry, you fucking piece of shit on the coastlines. And I didn't have anyone defending me because we could see from the beginning in Hooker Craft City, New Hampshire, with all the sciences that girl was carrying, that you were going to smash her head on the coastlines. That's not the parents either on their retirements in Fresno. You are so shallow and so stupid as people. Of course I'm shallow and stupid because I already had my head smashed in on the coastlines. In other words, somebody who had their head smashed in on the coastlines and it's Disneyland is as shallow as your educated ones. In other words, Disneyland is more intelligent than you after smashed in head. Fuck you, US. So, what they said was they're having fun with the baby. And the reason it's abuse is because that shit already was empty. And there were cases. There was The Hague. There was the Bureau de Veritas. It was famous around the world. And please can we stay in Rome? This is Babyface. This is not the original girl. And there's no losses in staying with a Scotland film in Rome for retirement. That's it. In other words, you have to go back to kindergarten. Fucking retards. And that's the old news on the news. That's not even mentioning the parents and presents. And so, when they... I think that's weird. So, I'd rather be blessed by those guys. You know, better to win with the most... lose with the most intelligent rather than win with the stupid. Anyway, Barilla ex-mayor saying that as a... Which I don't like as a caregiver over there. On the... What is it called? So this is what they're showing about you, US. And these are important things. And the thing is, my parents didn't want me to speak about it. They didn't want me, to make noise about it. The problem is, it's just too much. It's just too many people on the planet. Too many. And too many masses in London or Rome or other countries. It's just too many times on Macrolis and Nitropolis. It's too many fucking times. And I can't just keep my mouth shut to make you feel good in California. It's like saying to you, you're fucking retarded. Like, for real. So, when they say stay the fuck out, my kind and all the others, they're saying if you die and that intel goes, or those guys fall, or there's a price to pay for that intel, which is death, forever and ever, and those buildings are empty, and you're a replacement child, and that was some big ass shit, then it doesn't matter who blesses you. Nothing matters to the US. You're not the country that matters in that world. Because you keep speaking in San Francisco. Elon Musk moved to Texas, for it. You keep speaking how great you are in tech. But you're still begging the Chinese and the Russians for that tech. But you had it. You had that tech before. And then you killed it. In fact, you didn't kill me. You smashed my head in on those lines and you brought back Disneyland. You're not patriots. These are not patriots. The psychos you sent are not patriots. No. And so for the intel communities, what they're saying is, what DELF, which is the number 221 particolare, is what they were saying in 80 countries. They always said about the little nails and about the dead girl and the replacement child was, that shit's empty because she's dead. And you're fucking bedshits whores. And that's not mentioning the parents of Fresno retirements. It's that simple. It's all news on the news, not even 12 hours news. And if you think that I'm going to keep my mouth shut to make you feel good about yourselves, just because you want to have your ego trip, or have fun with the baby, you fucking dreaming. Dreamer. Nicht bitte dreamer. And that was you in that ship to yacht. That's what you on the news. That was this one. If you kill Intel, you don't get it back. Especially if you smash its head in on the ghost lines. If you knew that that girl was going to die, doesn't that smell of something? Man, you gotta fucking see it from China. Start using your brains, US, because I can't take this shit. No, I can't. And you're sending even a psycho. That might make me even sicker. Oh, no! Fresno is not a... You think that those agents, those nurses in Fresno, are intel? Sure, I'm sure they have their own intel up their ass. In other words, without even rape or without anything, they're whores. Beginning to end. They're not even big. Probably, no, not prostitutes. Prostitutes get paid. I'm sure you got that part. That's old news on the news. All of this is old news on the news. What they are saying is that exactly to each his own. They're saying, why, if all that is empty, we could kill it, but if they are paying for it, even for the baby, there must be a reason. Now, when I went to Rome, these Southerners, they're looking at the US as you were nuts. You see, it's not the psych ward that I'm worried about. It's the ETA. Because I know there's something behind that girl. And I've been warning you about it. I've been warning you, there's something behind 221 wormhole to worm, other than shipping you out. That shit is blood mass. Other than four blood mass. Old news on the news. Okay, old news on the news. You know what? Let's get out. I'm dead. I used to have some beautiful shit. That shit's empty. There were corporations, empty buildings in the US, but burner. Okay, I get that part. But what about the others? There goes the others. You're telling me she wasn't alone? No. And what about her enemies? So people knew what she was good at? Yes. Enemies. And the Americans are angry, what? That they killed her head, smashed her head on the bus lines and want to even play around with the small one? The crabby? Yes. Why? No, crab was a little too strong, but there was so much pain by the time she got to crabby on the ass wipe. Even the professors were saying, make her into a head in this. We can't watch this shit from crab to crabby. It's just too much pain. And look how much she loves her parents. She's a replacement child. That's bad enough, but you're sitting there and speaking to me about how great you are, how intelligent you are. Well, that shit's empty on those lines. It has been ever since Jamila had her head smashed in on those lines, and you call yourself patriots. Only because she didn't have somebody defending her except for the corporations, maybe, or other intel around the world, knowing what she was when she was alive, July 2021. She's a dead replacement. Yes, but she was trying to explain to you that there's blues behind it. That after smashing her head on the ghost lines, there were blues. You didn't believe it. I wouldn't have believed it. But then again, there was a Vatican notice. Yes. They knew about the eggs. They knew about this shit. But what they're speaking about is the loss of the space tech. In other words, you haven't seen like the venture goat. We look at that shit. Okay, but if that girl had her head smashed in on the ghost lines and she doesn't like the Mossad, or she prefers Bin Laden to the Mossad, it's not that she prefers Bin Laden, but she prefers him to the Mossad. In other words, you see what this is. So, that's the coastlines. And because that's so old news on the news, no one pays attention because of whatever. Yeah, that's just what that shit. And she's dead, who gives a shit? We knew about it, but we didn't give a shit as a nation, so who gives a shit? We shouldn't be complaining about it because it's not even her. It's a replacement. It's old news on the news, correct? That's the normal people. Or like, maybe I should help her. She's crawling out of Resna, for the parrots, and she's a replacement child with poodle, trained poodle in the house, and so forth. Instead, what they do, they send a psycho. And Fresno has its own fucking shit going on for me. That's why you're being sued with the Federal Italian Tribunal, aka known in pink as for Roman Tribunal. Those are your extras, because the shit that was empty, the void of Dirken Van Dam, is the coastlines. That's where that girl was killed, with her head smashed in, and that's where ship to yacht happened for all and Platinum hats. Around the world, within the US especially, because that's where it happened. That's where the intel was killed. That's where head was smashed, where whole shit collapsed on the ghost lines. And instead of saying, hey, I could see that coming from fucking China, you sat there and said, I'm going to kill the bitch. You're not patriots. I could guarantee you these psychos are not patriots. But they claim they are. This is what's a tragedy. Another tragedy after tragedy. That's not even mentioning the father and the mother in Fresno. Well, but they're defended by Brussels, the Supreme Court, and Lar Quintus. The hanging benches and DC and Langley. Look, she had to go back and forth like a little egg, on all the crawlies and little crawlies, on the greyhounds and stuff. US, it's not a question of revolutions only. It's a question of your assholes. This is the first time in history that you probably lost that much fucking intel within the CIA that you used to have. And buildings are empty in Massachusetts in space science. The girl who had that intel that you smashed her head in. And you telling me that within the CIA there was a ship that fell with me with Plum House and abroad in London and England? And the Germans who wanted to butt in, and everyone's saying keep the Germans up because you're not German. And in fact, they're saying the truth. I don't give a shit if they're good in science. You made a comedy out of this shit using Disneyland. The shit's empty because your bitch whores couldn't reopen it. Male or female. It's regardless whether I was male or female before. Stop the shit with stupid times. And you couldn't look at the replacement child. So when the BBC, when Channel 4, when the others spoke about it, they were not kidding. You see, it's not a question of inventing shit. If the Vatican had invented the shit, if Intel had invented, or the Brits, or the Opus Dei, or the Italians, or the Brits, my countries, or the UN, the German airspace, they didn't. You invented lies about me after smashing my head in on those lines. And you hated. That's why you sent the psychos. It's not fun for me to go through this shit. And that's not even mentioning the father and the mother on retirements in Fresno. You start seeing what you are, US. Start seeing why you're not getting away with any of it. You're not getting away with the void on the coastlines because it's costing you. You're not getting away with Disneyland being abused because it's also costing you. Why? I don't know. They thought it was something important and they had seen enough. They had seen enough of a smashed in head on the coastlines. They had seen enough of the hatred. They had seen enough of American animals, zoo, hate, stupid, frat boys, college kids, snorts, careerists, name it what you want, foreigners, locals, I don't give a shit, hating a baby for having been famous for all that and being killed and coming back as Disneyland. In other words, a not normal country. A fucked up country. Shut up! You are a fucking zoo of fucking retards. Do you know why the Germans sided with that girl? Because the Germans, just like the Italians, have always been fascinated with space tech and breakers. That's why Basler. That's why Vatican and Opus Dei. Because that's where I was born, you fucking shit. My blood comes from elsewhere, Russia and Saudi Arabia. And no, not Poland. Because the brother of the mother said to me that Poland is chief shit intel and go to fucking Russia. The same with Cairo, Saudi Arabia. What it means Mir. The only reason baby came back was for that. For herself, connected us with West Globals. As for the parents on retirement, I'm not a careerist. I was flyings for them, I was runnings for them, and I'm crawlies and little crawlies for them. I'm not the same girl. I only have the same eyebrows as the original. And now fuck your ass with your fucking vitriol. My crumbs are Ubermensch after you smash my head in. Nails is old news on the news. Superman buildings around the world are old news on the news, even in Asia. How did you make out of a girl who had her head smashed in? Ubermensch. Martin Snowden, head of sciences. German airspace, Platinum has. Martin Snowden, Platinum has. UN basements, Platinum has. Scientists. How did you make negatives out of that girl? Stick your PhD up your ass with your boyfriend and don't you dare hurt the baby. Don't you fucking dare. She lives inside the house. And she connected the dots worldwide to globals by herself in 80 countries. You want to stick the US in? 81 countries. Autistic champion of intelligence, huh? Europe, Club of Italy. Europa. Normally it wasn't Flaminio. Because at that time, Europa wasn't as strong as Flaminio. Still isn't. Do you know what you are? I can tell you. I know you don't like hearing it from Disneyland. And I agree with you. I know you want to abuse me. Whoa. You might even want to kill me again. I'm not afraid of you. And the reason I'm not afraid, US, is this. You will pay every half penny. You'll pay every half penny on the coastlines with a ship to yacht for evers and evers with those corporations for the intelligence that you killed on the coastlines and the leader that you smashed the head in on the coastlines. It will be void, your ass. In Harvard, in Princeton, and in Yale. You can go to your professors and you can ask them about German airspace and Russian airspace, Saudi airspace, La Sapienza airspace, and Woolwich Martin Snowdon airspace, and ask them about 21st century 221 Jamila from Russia and Saudi Arabia and the UN, born in Western Europe in stupid times, Greenwich Mean Times. What the fuck you lost in those buildings so your PhDs can reopen them? You lost that intel. And you had it. In a sense, before you didn't have it, I came along, I gave it to you, and then eventually what happened? You killed it on the coastlines. That's not even mentioning the retirements of the parents in Fresno. And their jobs. You get it? From Disneyland? Or am I offending you? Like to go back to kindergarten? In Western Europe, or in the UN, or around the world? In 80 countries? Because you're the 81st country. They asked us to stay over diamonds with the Scotland film. I told you the barons are born in bank accounts beyond the capital cities. Piesius Norris. D1s, Directorates of Humanitarian Relief Services. Ostrotis USAID. No, fuck off. So when they speak about appearances, the appearances are lady of the house in Fresno. Appearances are what happened on the coastlines. I don't have pretenses. I'm not saying I'm that girl. I'm telling you there's something behind that girl. We'll explain that. Because it was ship to yacht. The ship to yacht is anybody who fell with Jamila in Italy or in Germany or in England. Germans, I'm not so sure about. Are you holding it? Oh, damn it. Anyway, I come from Russia, Saudi Arabia. I was born in Western Europe. In other words, what I'm trying to say is, if you already had that intel before, on the flyings and the runnings where she was elsewhere and defending the barons on retirement, and then all of a sudden, you see it from China, flying, running. No. And then, what? And then, no. You're inventing shit in Fresno for the barons, and you're inventing shit about me. That's why you wanted to erase me. You already did. You already killed that girl. But you wanted to erase even the Disney version of her. By hurting her, abusing her. To the entire communities, that's a sure sign of mental retardation. In Fresno. Of jealousy. Of bitches. Of whores. It's not intelligence. It's not the coastline shit. It's not the void of the coastlines. Nope. And you lost with that. You lost with that because you killed it. There. That's about the Holy Grail. I'm perfect. If you're perfect, I'm the Queen of fucking England. Shit, they're still fucking paying with the flying hairs like this. There's a ship to a yacht, and we knew about it. And we have been on the coastlines with her, on the flyings of her, 92 and above of the parents, and she was on the coastlines with us. And 85, all those runnings on the hills. And I see it coming from China. The girl's gonna be killed. Oh, here we go. She's come back from around the world. Hello. Oh man, what happened on the coastlines? That's old news on the news. It's all old news. Shut up. Give me that ass pipe. Where's that number 221? Give me. Where's that Scotland film? Give me the Scotland film. No, we're saying it wrong. Can't you see what this fucking is, you assholes? Then stick your PhDs up your ass. Oh my god, Disneyland through this shit. I'm psychos against this. At this stage, I don't know what to tell you anymore. At this stage, you're fucked. No respect. Just a mess up with the Vatican. I'm sitting there. I'm born in the Vatican with Lord Winters and Lonnie Direct in Rome. I said, this girl was so fucking international, you have no idea. Flying around the world. What's it? Well, she's smashing her head on the coastlines and crab to crab. They thought crab was the original. Yeah, see her at the beginning of crab. For the parents, but crabby on the asswipe. Are you talking to me about psychiatry from Fresno? Psychos from Fresno and Fresco? No. UCLA, New York, and others hospitals just said that Fresno should be shut down, even for the baby. The hospital has. They were quick in getting me out of that one. Having said that, there was a shootout, yes, and there was a psychos falling. I mean, in other words, a commedia, guarda. Because, and it is a commedia. Commedia! Near the end, it's commedia. The fuck that everybody has their own reasons for what they do. For who you are. What you do in life. How you ass? Excuse me, no. I have to go back to get the guy. Can we please stay in row for a time? Is there any sacrifice whatsoever to stay the fuck out? Allora, let's go to Rome for a dance with the Scotland film. You catch the pink. If there's some blues, you get a samplage of 1 or 2 blues. A Scotland film. And that's it. Problem resolved. Baba and Mama stay. Calm retirements in Rome with the Saudi Arabia, Arabia, Western Europe, London, Rome, the UN, Russia, all that. And you motherfuckers, fuck off! And if you want to get the baby at that stage, you're welcome. You still have 4, 7, 2, 2, 2, 1 to make it happen. Of that social security number. Come in. You get the pink. Now you're going to get the blues. There's many blues. Old eggs. Another hallucination. Didn't I go have her head smashed in on the ghost lines? There go the Dar es Salaam neighborhoods on the planet. Okay, they know too. I'm not going to say no more. The word on the man. Relic after smashing her head in on the ground with empty buildings around the Soviets. The knowledge. You're speaking about prophetic shit for the social security number 221 Delft of Holland. That's all you want to know. You smashed that shit in the ghost lines. You didn't get away with that shit. And you're still sending cycles for the baby. You're not a fucking country. And you're making it look rosy through me. That's bad. That's bad. I'm not even mentioning Fresno for the parents. Mountains, hills. More mountains. Many times. Flyings. Runnings. It's basically about bacterial shock. My vacana! You know what? So, you understand, people, I'm not trying to be snobbish or arrogant here. I'm not trying to, have pretenses for what happened on the ghost lines, anything. You see, we really would like to stay in Rome for retirements with the Scotland film. There's no sacrifice whatsoever to stay in Rome. For Pa and for Ma, they stay. And then you get the pink. This nasty little pesky little loud shit. Try to pull it out. And maybe you get some blues too. Will be a selection out there. The X, the pterodactyl X. That's all this. What about that? And you're going to bomb Fresno, correct? Am I correct? The parents and others are retirement. Sorry, Havana, sorry. The 6969. Space bomb. Spatial boom. Name which one. And me? Don't worry. They somehow got me out, and they got me even to Rome after all that, and I have some nice investments from international agents. Don't even know how they did that. For retirements, and the lawyer will not give me an iota of money until I'm a bit older. And when I do get out, then I'll be living the good high life in Rome with all that money. Because I'm already 50, but that's still young, according to them. Can I stay here? No. Please. No. You go back. No. And take that piece of paper for the Dolores shelter to shove it up their ass! What, the federal prisoners? Yes! Okay! And the hospital in Fresno, shut up their ass! It was a psychiatric ward. I said, guys, you can't be serious. Dr. Parrott says so. There was Dr. Parrott. You are going to be killed in San Francisco, Fresno. They're going to kill Disneyland. They're going to send the psychos and kill you. You need a guardian. And I can't take it anymore. There goes the mouth again. You are fired. Dr. Parrot, you're absolutely useless. And I was looking at the shit. I said to her, I'm not even that girl. Oh, there's Bruce. Excellent. Another fucking miracle brought to you by Delph. After what happened on the golf line. Sir, I can't take it anymore. You know, and you take a triple now. Are you lost it? Not many times. Nervous laugh and the whole shit come out. The cycle. Beat your ass, I'll kick your ass. And I'm like, wait a second. Did I just do that many? And I was like, I'll put up with this like, I already know they're going to sue your ass with Dr. Barrett. No, you know. Are we going to stick to New York, UCLA, London, Rome? Which hospital would you like? Would you like the psychiatrist in Berlin? Saying that the Americans are cheapos asses in Fresno. Psych word and all. After all, sending psychos against Disneyland is easy to abuse. And then put it to Fresno. We had to send on the other psychos. Have sex with them. I don't mind. After all, I had my head smashed in on the ghost lines. I didn't have any boyfriends when I was flying the runnings, and when I died with my head smashed in on the ghost lines. If you make a prostitute out of me, I'd be the best on planet. But you have to pay me, you say. I'm not like you cheapos. And as for the guys, 10,000 love letters up Fresno nurses, assholes! What about German Aerospace naming their children Jamila? Or Martin Snowden? Or Ryan Davis? Or the Italian stars naming their children Jamila? After all, she's dead with her head smashed in on the coastlines, and I am some freak, genetic freak in UN schools, baby Disney replacement. Old news on the news. Nails around the walls and back US, and so shipped to yacht. Otherwise, it's the entire community. And they said to me, oh, you know, President, who gives a shit? They got cancer and hold it in their head. These guys are looking at me like, I'm so tired. You're so beautiful that you're with us. And my mother stuck me in the high school with your shit. You're so rich and I'm so poor. See how beautiful you had to smash it. And what is this? Negatives. In other words, you made intelligent killers out of the original who you smashed the head in on the coastline. That's not the same person. It can't be because you smashed their head in on the coastline. These buildings are empty because of me, you fucking asshole. That's all news on the news around the world. Exactly. What about the father month? And first, look at the jobs. Pioneer Country on the capital cities. I was born in the capital city. Come on. All right. In other words, everyone wants to fucking bomb Fresno. So do me a favor, don't send me your cycles, don't send me your liver buzz, because semplicemente non me serve. I already have a problem with my stomach, with the floating barrage. I don't need the hernia, right, left. I don't need all this shit. I don't need the cats, the dogs, the birds, the bees, and all those capital cities going around in circles on microllies and electrocrawlers. And I'm saying to you, keep it fucking professional. Oh, damn it. That many times. So please, try and understand why. I don't give a shit for your PhDs, your education, your limousines, your girlfriends, and your boyfriends. I just simply don't give a shit. Give a shit. I stopped caring. I don't think I ever cared for that shit. You know, in other words, please, just get your fucking shit together and bomb Fresno. Space bomb. And you know, Fresno, the t-shirts on the East Coast, you see, they don't even accept the East Coast. With Georgia going on the other. That's a cheap shit. Between London and Rome, Germany, I'm not even German, Russia, Saudi Arabia, cool. Even the Eastern Bloc heard about this shit. I said, what? Poland with the cancer and all the, cheap shit of Polish intel and the Eastern Bloc, the brother and the mother. And I was like, cheap shit. She come from Russia. She made the new shit from Russia. Same in Egypt, go Saudi Arabia. I said, why you fucking bring me back to Disneyland mode? Motherfucker, after you smash my head in on the coastline, you piece of shit. That's all news on the news, Neil. That's not mentioning the parents or retirements of Fresno. Particular corn, Carter. The mountains. This is mountains. That's why they call them mountains, you see. Hydrogeographic survey. Mountains, hills, more hills. Because on the third one of the dad, it's still a hill. Still on the hill, and the steps, and then it goes to the back on the ground. Yeah. While her third one is to the side, yeah. Because the second one of the mom goes down the hill, but then it hits the head of the lively feet. Then it goes, little alley on the ground, and then the mountain. There's mountains, hills, and mountains. So, U.S. Scotland fell, and Bob Fresno. Sorry. They're saying some people are shouting it out in Rome and London many times. I'm like, but these are the people. So I'm trying to keep it. What about a nice space bomb? The 696969 Haravan. Yeah, and this thing about East Coast West Coast thing with the Greyhound. Make it back and forth on Greyhound. Oh my God, it's the road. No, I did use planes too. They're just talking about something. Shut up. I've got Matthias from me. Scotlandville, you have a little time to do that. And a spatial boom, a spatial bomb, impressive. And you should have done that ages ago. It saved a lot of grief and losses lonely, because multitasking is multitasking. It's true. I was worse. As a whole. No wonder there's a Scotlandville. Excuse me. And then they're going, they're getting it.